He's missing. I don't know. I can't understand why he wasn't there. But that was only 5 of us, and they had 8 people in the tent. But that was really something. That picture, they had security. You couldn't say where you were. And if you look at the tent, you'll see property of Maui, Camp Maui. But the guy with the cap on right behind Robinson, up in the tent, that's Bill Mazzani. He's a civil engineer now. In fact, I talked to him just recently in Atlanta, Georgia. And he's trying to get a job down here with this hurricane deal. And I was hoping he would. I'd let him have my bedroom there.
And each of the other guys?
Huh?
Name off each of the people in the...
Well, the one that's standing there with his hand in his pocket right in front, that's Glenn Robinson. He was a card shark in my outfit. He was good. He didn't cheat. He just knew cards. And Billy Mazzani, that's the engineer now. And McAllister, the other guy with the white shirt on, he just died. I saw it in the newsletter. And the other guy, I went to Seattle for a reunion, and I called his house. He lived in Seattle. And his wife told me he was on a golf tour. He was playing golf. I didn't get to see him. McLaughlin. McAllister McLaughlin. And that's me with the curly hair and the jumpsuit on. But I don't know where Ralph was. Ralph lives in Texas. I just heard from him. You know, your grandma told you? Yeah, they sold their house and they moved into a nursing home or old folks home or something. Yeah, he lost your mother's address because he used to send those letters or something.
Who were you closest to of the guys that you served with?
Bill Mazzani mostly, and Robinson. Robinson had a taxi cab on Maui. He had one of the natives there running it for him, and he'd pay him off. And when we came in, the cab would come pick us up. We didn't have to ride the bus into the town. Never could find him, though. He's from California. I called all those places out there when I was out there a few years back.
You got the hat that you got the 4th Marine Division Association. How'd you find out about that? How'd you get involved in it?
We were going to, I was taking the kids out to California. And we were going through Houston. And we were going to the Dome because the kids wanted to see the Dome. I don't remember what year it was. And they had a big sign up there, Welcome 4th Marine Division, at the hotel right across the street from the Dome. So we stopped and went in there, and Mordecai was in there, and Captain Cord was in there. Guys were in my outfit, and a few other ones.
So you pulled in just because you saw the sign. Who was the first person you saw?
Horace Cord, our captain. He was a colonel then. But he had stayed in. He was the head of that Marine school there in Harlingen, Texas.
What was that like, pulling off the road, seeing a sign, and all of a sudden seeing all these guys?
Oh, real happy. Yeah, it made me happy. Yeah. he called, says, Mordecai's in the we're in a meeting, and Card was outside talking to somebody. And I went in there and saw Mordecai. Then we started going to all the reunions all over. We ran into a lot of guys.
And when you first found out about, just stumbled on the reunion, that was at least 20 years after the war?
Oh, Lord. I don't know, the kids are all born. They're all big enough to go to California. Except your mother, she was old enough to stay home.
So late 60s, 20-some years after?
I don't remember how I was. How old were you, Steve?
It was 1970.
1970?
June.
So you hadn't seen all these guys for 25 years, and all of a sudden you find them all grouped together in one hotel.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody was still young and
Yeah, everybody in good shape. Yeah.
you used to tell me something about Mordecai, about he was a tough.
Mordecai would never run anybody in for disobedience or anything like that. He'd just say, I'm going to take you out and I'll show you how I'll take care of you. And he'd whip their butts with his hands. His big red sucker. He's dead, he died. Yeah.
So how many years were you involved with how many years you go to the reunions?
Well, we just stopped not too long ago. Quite a few years. I can't remember exactly how many.
30.
Easy. We went all over the United States at those reunions.
How many of the guys that you serve with directly do you still in contact with? How many of them are still around?
Just Bill Mazzani and Ralph Barkin. McAllister used to call me, but he died. And Bill Mazzani calls me, and Ralph calls me, and I call them periodically. But years ago, I used to get on the phone, and one of my sons used to get the information from where we thought that one of them lived, and get their address and phone number, and I'd give them a call when they moved or something like that. But Robertson, I had brought a Jap machine gun all the way back to Pendleton, and I went over to his apartment, and he was married, and I took my sea bag, and I wish I had taken the Jap machine gun all apart and put it in my sea bag, and I put it all together, and I said, oh, hell, keep it, Robbie. And I was sorry I did that. A Jap machine gun. I'd have probably given it to the D-Day Museum.
Real quick, there's a picture right here behind you in a tent row. Where was that? When was that?
That's Maui. That's Maui in a tent area. That was one of my guns on Ewo. Number 2 gun. That's the one that fired on a problem. Right when we're getting ready to secure the gun. And the infantry would call for firepower. And they fired. Just then the planes went over and it knocked the whole tail assembly off the one jet's. The pilot jumped out. Now this guy, there was a friend of mine here, he was in the infantry. And I used to make the reunions with him. And he said that the pilot got killed too. But I thought I saw him jump out the plane when it knocked the tail assembly off of it.
When you point to that picture, that gun, that picture, you said your foxhole.
Right behind it. You see that thing sticking up? That's on a crane, and right over to the side of that thing, it had tracks. It was a Japanese thing. And right between the tracks, I had dug a foxhole, and that's where I was.
How close to the water is this?
Real close. Real close. Big LSTs were sitting up there, about 4 or 5 of them. And we'd go over there and get different canned stuff, and they'd give it to us for a rifle or something like that.
I think of some other stuff to add.
You got the whole. You get the whole picture up there, Steve?
We're gonna go back and shoot each one of the ones separately. You got your citation there. Is that the
I think that's right. That's it right there.
Now, the other thing that we've been looking for, we're still trying to find. Tell me about the story. Your mother sent a letter to the commander of the Marine.
Oh, yeah.
Tell you what, spin around. Get back over here, because I want you to be looking at me for this. Tell me, you've been in the service for a while, and your mother wrote a letter.
Yeah, she wrote a letter asking the general to send me home. And she sent him a rosary, and he said he couldn't do it. He'd like to do it, but he couldn't do it. I don't know what happened to the letter. I think you said you had a copy of it. Yeah. I don't know. Somebody's got the letter.
They wrote back regretting that he couldn't let you out of the
Yeah.
service because your mother wanted you to come home.
Yeah. Yeah, General Cates. He died just recently.
There was another story about your mother that at one point the gas man tried to.
Oh, the meter man is dressed in a uniform, and she thought it was a mailman, and he wanted to give her the bill, and she thought it was a telegram, and she said, "I want it." Yeah, she didn't want that telegram. Yep.
Because the telegram would have meant.
Yeah, I got killed. They sent telegrams right away. Yep.
So not only were you in combat situations, but the people at home were nervous and jumpy too.
Oh yeah, yeah. You were always worried about your family, and I was the only child.
So years after, was there? Did you ever? I mean, obviously, after being in combat, you feel the effects of it. How long did you have dreams and things that would come back?
Quite a while. My wife was scared to wake me up. She said I'd come out of that bed like I was ready to kill. It took a long time. A long, long time, she said. She was afraid to wake me up. I guess it's all over now, though.
You don't remember? Do any new things come back to you every so often? Does anything?
No, just recently about the fire at Pearl Harbor. I had forgotten all about that. But the other incidents I remembered. I can remember I was working on my watch. My mother had sent me a watch, and I was sitting at the table on the LST when the explosion started. And it abandoned ship, and I just left everything right there on the table and went and jumped overboard and swam to the island. When I came back, it was all gone. The watch and everything was gone. Somebody got back before me.
So you were field music. You used
Yeah.
to. What did you do in camp as a field music?
Blow the calls. When it, my tent was right across the street from Mordecai's tent, and that was the office right next to it, right next to Mordecai's. And he'd get up in the morning, and he'd have the corporal of the guard wake him up, and he'd come out and he'd, Shelley, blow first call. You always blew first call before you blew reveille. And I blew first call, and then I'd blow reveille. And he'd say, blow chow time. And I'd lift the tent flap up, and I'd play the calls for him. And he'd raise, "Oh, get your butt out of here," for roll call. I said, "Well, you know I'm here." He'd get so mad. But that was all. He'd just get mad because he knew I wasn't going to get up. What, baby?
Let's see what else. What's some other stuff I want to throw in? You got any other stories that I'm missing? I wanted to get a chance to talk more about the people. You know, who did you work most closely with? Obviously,
About 10 minutes, 9 minutes left.
Okay.
Do what?
I was just trying to get to. I wanted you to talk less about the things in general and more about you in particular. Like some of the who'd you serve with most closely? I mean, obviously Mordecai. You were with him for most of the.
Oh, Robinson. Robinson and I on Saipan, we were in the foxhole together the first night. And well, he was a corporal in the charge of the machine gun section. And we had foxholes right close together. Usually 2 people in this foxhole. And he had his squad, 4 or 5 50 caliber machine guns and 4 or 5 30 caliber machine guns. And he had quite a few people in his sections. But I think it was him, mostly him. He was in my tent, and we'd go to Liberty together, and we were close friends.
That's who put you over the side of the Higgins boat.
Yeah, he shoved me. He gave me a push, and I went into the sand. The boat had turned sideways, and the coxswain said, "Jump over, jump off, jump off." He wanted to get the heck out of there. And I don't think the boat ever got off. It finally turned over, rolled over.
Is there anything else I'm missing?
I can't think of anything else.
We're just trying to think if there's any other stories that we haven't heard before. I want to get the names of the guys that were in the pictures. You did that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else. You went through the 4 major invasions without any injuries.
Except that, Saipan. I got hit in the back of behind the leg a little bit. And I had to come and put a Band-Aid on it and told me to get my butt back out there.
I thought I heard the story that you were working up and down the beach and a shell went off and you went down and you didn't want to go back and look at you didn't want to look at your leg.
Oh, I was afraid to look back there. I knew I was hit, but not that bad. It wasn't that bad. I could move. As long as I could move, I couldn't see my butt, right just below my butt. And I couldn't see it, so when I got back to the battery, I got the corpsman to look at it, and he just pulled a little piece of shrapnel out and put a Band-Aid on it to get back out there.
And that was the injury of
That was it, yeah. I was lucky.
4 invasions.
Yeah, 4 invasions.
And as a messenger, you're moving a lot.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. When the captain wanted to go somewhere in our outfit, I'd have to ride shotgun. I was sitting in the back with the shotgun. I said, Captain, if anything jumps out, please drop down because I'm going to shoot. He said, well, don't shoot me. But I jump his butt when he'd come back in. Sometimes he'd be there so long. I said, man, it's starting to get dark, and I know how you like to talk. I said, oh, we should cut him shorter. But he was a New Orleans boy.
Your captain was?
Yeah, Horace Card. Yeah, he moved to Texas when he came back.
Now, this is the same guy that you ran into in the hotel?
Yeah. Horace.
Was he with the unit for the whole?
No. I don't remember exactly when. They had a tendency of switching up people. We lost the first sergeant after the first invasion. He got transferred out, and then they took one third of the men. Like Chuck Spencer was one of the field musics too. There was two of us, and they took him out and sent him to another outfit. Which a third of the men went to this outfit, a bigger gun. 105, I don't know what the heck it was, 188, something like that. It was a bigger gun. In fact, they were on another island. But they'd get attached. They called it the Corps. And I saw Chuck on Saipan, and I think he broke his arm. And his mother and my mother used to talk to one. He was from Lansing, Michigan. Never could get him to come to a reunion. But my mother and his mother used to talk together.
I think if there's anything else that I missed, that I wanted to hear more about the individual guys that you were with.
There ain't too much I know about them.
You were in a different position because you were a private. You were music, but you wound up being in the officers.
Yeah, I was right there in the office all the time, and I had a lot to do with the officers. Different things they wanted done, or if I wanted something, I'd just go. Captain Carter, he was a captain then. I want to use your Jeep. It's all right? Yeah, go ahead, take it. To run a message somewhere, things like that. And some of the officers give me a bottle of whiskey to come wake them up. Things like that, kind of things like that. Shelley, I want you to do this for me. But they were all good.
Stop that for a minute. I was just thinking maybe.
Yeah.
Wait, start over. Now, go.
I had forgotten when we left this San Diego. After about a week out, we got a message that Jap planes were coming, and it was really something. We were on LSTs then when we left the States, and the damn things were all loaded with ammunition because we were going right into combat. And they come over loudspeakers. If we have, I want some of these Marines to man the 40 caliber machine guns, or 20 caliber machine guns. That was a big thing then. He said, anybody else that's not on a gun, go to the fantail. And the fantail on the LST is not that big. And I was telling us, I don't know who the hell it was. I said, on a fantail, I said, if they hit this thing, it's going to go like one big bomb. It's all this ammunition on the boat. But they never did get through. That's one thing about it. The Navy, they had most of the fleet out there with us. And they annihilated the attack because it was a big deal. The whole 4th Division was on boats going over there.
I just thought of something, because you've been talking about it lately. Does it surprise you the reaction you get from people when you're wearing your 4th hat?
Yeah, people come up there and thank me. I say, thank the draft board. They drafted me. They were about to. But we went and enlisted in the Marine Corps down at the Custom House, New Orleans.
But does it surprise you now that some of these events you took part in, it's such a big deal in history now that people seek you out to say something?
Yeah. Yeah, it's surprising. But a lot of people, know it. Man, you were on Iwo Jima. I said, I didn't want to be there. Things like that.
All right, that's good.
You know,
I'll start over with that.
I'm gonna ask you about this again real quick. The thing, they talk about the invasions of very short periods of time in terms of weeks. But when you go to like an Iwo Jima, there's nowhere for you to go. There's no rear area.
No, the only thing you could go is go on one of the LSTs that were parked there, but they were subject to artillery fire from the Japs. They'd come out and fire, but once the Navy got their location, that was it. I mean, they blew them up with the big guns from the big guns, and you could hear the shells go over you into the. But once the Jap came out and fired, they'd go back in. But then they'd blow the heck out of that area where they got plotted in. I don't know how they did it, but they got these things that they could pick up anything.
What was what did that experience like with one of those big shells going on?
The what?
So what was the experience like with a big shell whistling over your head?
Sounded like a big freight car going over. I mean, you knew it was going over you. Even when the Japs fired the big mortar they had, when you hear that shell coming down, you knew it was a big one. And they finally hit one of the ships sitting there with a fighter, one of the big, what the heck was it? Like a bigger than a destroyer, cruiser. And he just sat there, I guess a couple of hundred yards out. And they hit the boat a couple of times, but wow, that's like shooting those big guns. Boy, they'd go.